evening. Okay, so let's cultivate our motivation. And again, another week where we have the opportunity to listen to the Dharma. So many things could have happened in this last week that could have changed the circumstances. But certain karmas didn't ripen and certain karma did ripen. So again, we have this opportunity. But our life is going very quickly. We can't kind of stop time so we can catch up and figure out what we want to do. But the time is just always going by. And the body's falling apart. Mind's getting older. So while we have the opportunity, let's really use it to make wise decisions. And so I see wise decisions as very much a part of creating good karma, because the mental factor of intention is the chief thing about karma, and isn't a decision, doesn't it depend on an intention? Isn't it an intention in some ways? And so to realize that all the time we're choosing, we're deciding, and if we just run on automatic, then the force of old habits takes over, and we get buffeted around by our afflictions when they encounter certain objects. But if we can really pay attention to our intentions, to our motivations, then there's a huge possibility for change. And so that change starts by directing our mind towards what's wholesome, towards what is beneficial. And of course, the best thing to direct it towards in that sense is bodhicitta. And then use the intention of bodhicitta to attain full awakening for the benefit of all beings as the main intention with which we do anything in our lives. So especially we should use it when we listen to the Dharma and have a pure motivation. So we were talking last week about the signs of a Buddha, the 32 signs of a Buddha, and how this is coming under the qualities of the Buddha's body. The idea being that when we study the qualities of the Buddha's body and the amount of merit and wisdom that the Buddha had to collect to generate those different qualities, then it fills our heart with inspiration and with faith in the Buddha for his joyous effort, his endurance, his perseverance to create all these causes so that he could have the body of a Buddha and be of benefit to all sentient beings. Yeah. So it isn't like the, when you think of the particular signs, they may inspire you, or they may not, having even teeth. I don't know, kind of you go to the orthodontist and, yeah. But to think of the causes and what the Buddha put in to create those causes for those physical signs, and the effort that took, the bodhicitta, the wisdom, what he had to put up with or overcome or whatever in order to create those causes, then that stimulates us a sense of gratitude to the Buddha for doing that, because we're the ones who benefit, from him having the Buddha's body. Yeah, because without him having, without the Buddha's form body, we would be completely lost, because it's through the Buddha's two form bodies that the enlightened mind is able to communicate with us. Okay, so, thinking of these qualities of the body, kind of, it works that way to help our practice. Okay, because that question came up last week, didn't it? Yeah. Okay, does that make sense now? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because with any of these things, when we study the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, it's good to think, what would it be like to have those qualities, and what would it be like to create the cause to have those qualities? And then that kind of shows us what the magnificent aspects of those qualities are, and what it took to get them, and how that all originated with bodhicitta. Okay, so it wasn't like the Buddha was always a Buddha, and he had those qualities without having to do any work. Yeah, but for many eons, a long time before attaining full awakening, creating all those causes. And so hearing about what those causes are, then it helps us think about, well, what can I do in my life to create those same causes? And so, the overall cause for these signs are the collections of wisdom and collection of merit. But each sign has its own particular thing. And so by having its own particular cause, that kind of, makes us more aware of opportunities in our own life that we have to create those causes, to create virtue. Yeah. So I think, like the last one, we stopped with verse 189 last time, and that one said, through serving and healing the sick, you will have a broad back, you'll be imperturbable, and all tastes will be supreme. Well, sometimes when, there's people who are sick, do we want to, serve them and help them to heal? Or do we think, oh God, they're sick again. I had plans for today, and now I have to go take care of this sick person. And I'll probably get what it is that they have, and then I'll be sick. And, and I go there, and all they do is fetch, hurts, and that feels bad. And whatever I do for them, it's not enough. And, do we serve the sick with a happy, delighted mind that has a virtuous aspect to it? Yeah, so this is kind of what it's asking us, And so it's saying, well, when we have the opportunity to serve somebody who's sick. Yeah, so instead of, us falling into quite negative attitudes about routine things. It reminds us that these are opportunities to create a lot of virtue, and so don't miss out on them. Yeah, because a lot of opportunities to create virtue we miss out on just because we're lazy. It's like, I'm lazy, I don't feel like doing it. Yeah, nobody appreciates, so why should I put any effort out? But I want to become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Somehow those two attitudes, it doesn't go together. That attitude doesn't go with that, with that spiritual state. Yeah. Okay. That's what's called a discordant cause. Okay. So, when we notice that we have discordant causes operating in our mind, or rather causes that are concordant with lower rebirths and problems, then to work at changing our motivation and seeing what we can do. Okay, so verse 190. Come back. There it is. By focusing on deeds that accord with Dharma, you will have a crown protuberance on your head, and your body will also have the symmetry of a banyan tree. Okay, so focusing on deeds that accord with the Dharma refers, I really like this explanation. It means to really take up any tasks that you're doing with others, take up responsibility, take up, put effort into doing any of the work that you're doing for others or with others. Okay, and so I was thinking about this one. Because Kansa Rinpoche said, whether you're the leader or not, for the benefit of other people, be enthusiastic about participating in the group. Be a team player, and don't slack off and ditch and leave people hanging. So it was making me think that what this verse is saying is also be astute regarding each situation. And when is a situation where you have to be a leader, and when is a situation where you have to be a follower? And both leaders and followers have specific skills that they need to learn. It isn't that leaders are better, because leaders without followers can't do a single thing. Yeah, and followers without leaders also have limitations. So we have to actually learn how to be both leaders and followers depending on the situation. Yeah, and so how to tune into a situation and see which position we take. Yeah, okay. So I was thinking, last week when you were saying that, every Sangha member you talk to tells you to vacuum the floor in a different way. And, it can drive you totally crazy if you let it. But what you did is you just decided, okay, whoever tells you what to do, you do it their way. Yeah? So that's a really good decision. That's learning how to be a good follower. It's like, okay, someone's in charge. It's a small thing. Nobody's going to suffer whether you do it this way or that way, so it really doesn't matter. So you're a good follower, and you follow the instructions, In another situation where something maybe damaging is going to come, if you follow the instructions, then you have to speak up. Yeah. And then there'd be another situation where nobody else is around to instruct the guests who come after you on how to vacuum, when you're going to be the leader and teach them all how to vacuum. Okay, so you see what I mean? In different situations, we have to see what role to take. Yeah, so it's not that one role or another is better or worse. It's just what's appropriate for the particular situation. Okay? But whichever it is, to do it wholeheartedly and not to be lazy about it. You know, because both leaders and followers need to put in equal amount of energy. Yeah, it's not that the leaders should really put in more energy than the followers or vice versa. You know, everybody should be putting in the same amount of energy and working towards the same goal. And so seeing, you know, which role to take in a situation. So this brings two signs if you do this, okay? One is the crown protuberance, the usnisha, you know, that is like a bump of flesh, a lump of flesh, you know, at the crown of the Buddha's head. So it's one of those signs. And then a symmetrical body. And here he says the symmetrical body is, you know, from fingertip to fingertip here is the same length as your height, which it is usually for most of us. It should be like this. But I was thinking, if that's a symmetrical body, but the Buddha's arms go below his knees, then his arm span is going to be much more than his height. Yeah? So, huh? Well, no, because his arms are way up here, and he has a broad chest, so that's going to be really long. And then going this way, yeah, unless he has a long neck, I don't know. But anyway, you know, those are the signs that that you get. So that's signs. Those are signs 22 and 23. Okay. Then 191. Having spoken truthful and gentle words for a long period of time, you will have a broad tongue, king, and your speech will be Brahma's voice. Okay, so have you noticed how often in this text he's talked about speaking truthfully? It comes up all the time, doesn't it? Speaking truthfully, speaking gently. Now, it came up when we went through the causes for the upper rebirth. It came up in the previous section, you know, truthfulness. Yeah. Speaking gently, he's spoken about several times too. Okay, and he will in the future. This isn't the last reference to it. Okay, so it gives you a broad tongue that if you stick it out, it will reach around your ears and up to your hairline. Yeah. Now, I remember as kids, we loved my dad when he showed off his tongue because he could stick it out and touch the tip of his nose, like that. Yeah. But this is really something, you know, covering over your ears and you're up to your hairline, okay? And then a voice that is exceedingly pleasant to listen to, okay? So it's quite nice. You know how some people have very beautiful voices and you can just listen to them speak for a long time, and then other people have other voices that aren't so pleasant. They may be very pleasant people, but the quality of the voice isn't so pleasant. So having a pleasant voice in that way, you know, so the tone and of course the words, you know, need to be pleasant, but it's a way to attract people to you, okay? So, you know, the idea behind these external attractive qualities is not to have people, you know, adore you and, you know, for you to get attached to your physical beauty and your voice, but it's to attract people so that you have the opportunity to teach them the Dharma. Okay, so they always talk about the Buddha's voice being like Brahma's voice. Apparently Brahma, he's one of the gods in the form realm, who apparently he has a very, very melodic voice. So they say that the Buddha's speech has 60 or 64 good qualities, and one of them is like Brahma's speech. Okay. Then 192, through always and continually uttering words that are true, again, truthfulness, you will have a lion's jaw, glorious. You will be undefeatable. Okay, so another result of speaking truthfully to others over a long period of time is our jaw will be firm and awe-inspiring, like that of a lion. Okay, so, you know, that makes sense because your jaw is connected with your speech, your enunciation. And then we also see, you know, some people who have like a very weak jaw, who don't have much of a chin, then when we see them, we get a certain impression, don't we? Whereas somebody who has a very firm jaw, we get another impression. Yeah. Sometimes, of course, our impressions are wrong, but it's interesting how it does give us a certain feeling. Okay, so that was long tongue is 24, 25 is pleasant voice, 26 is the having a jaw like a lion. We should look at all our miniature lions around here. Okay, 193. Through behaving with respect and serving in the appropriate manner, your teeth will be very white and lustrous. They will also be even, not jagged. Okay, so as a result of being respectful to others, so showing respect physically, but also showing respect by how we address them, how we speak to them, you know, what tone of voice, what we say, the volume of our voice, you know. And all of this has to come from a respectful mind, not through a mind that's trying to butter people up, yeah, but through knowing how to show respect and then serving and honoring those who are worthy of honor as much as we can. Yeah, so again, to think about this. This is one that I think as Americans we need to think a lot about. Yeah, I think Europeans in some ways have an easier time of it, and certainly Asians do. Yeah, but we're a country of people who didn't fit in from where they were born. Isn't it? It's a country of people who didn't fit in where they were born, and who have this idea of, you know, I'm as good as the next guy, and the next guy should respect me. Yeah, instead of I'm as good as the next guy, so I should respect him. Yeah, we've grown up as kind of quite a self-centered culture, I think. Yeah, and I don't think parents hardly even try to teach their kids respect for elders anymore. I mean, I know when I was a kid, I was taught that, you know, and you call people Mr. and Mrs. something. My parents' friends were always Mr. and Mrs. something. Nowadays, kids just address their parents' friends with their first name. And I really tell, like, when I lived abroad, when I would go to, when I was invited to speak at a school from the country I lived in versus an American international school, what a difference. You know, the schools, in whatever country I was in, the kids were like disciplined and they walked and they were, you know, they were kids, but they were somewhat polite. American schools, even in school, you know, the noise is ricocheting off the walls. The kids are sitting down in the hallways with their legs stretched out, you know, and so I had to tread my way over different legs. You know, their stuff is all over the place. It's incredible, yeah? And, yeah, so kids don't learn that in this country anymore, and as a result, adults, you know, don't have it much. And if you look at, you know, the Republican debates now, do they have respect for other people? Are those people modeling respect? Yeah? So, you know, as Dharma students, we have to do, this is counterculture, okay? It used to be counterculture to throw out manners. You know, my generation, counterculture was you throw out all the manners. Now counterculture is you adopt good manners, you know. Try and have a mind that respects others, serving others. Yeah. Okay, so from this, then your teeth will be dazzling white, that's 27. And 28, your teeth will be even, so they're all the same height, they're not jagged. Yeah. Then 194, having become accustomed to words that are true and not divisive. Again, did you notice? True and not divisive words. Yeah. You will have glorious teeth, 40 in number, set close together and excellent. Okay, so again, by habitually and continuously speaking truthfully, yeah, and avoiding creating discord and disharmony with our speech, then number 29 is we'll have 40 teeth, 20 upper, 20 lower. I think most people have 32 teeth, yeah. And then our teeth will be well arranged, so they're not with big gaps in between them. Then 195, from gazing on sentient beings with love, without attachment, aversion, or confusion, your eyes will be sparkling blue with eyelashes like a cow. When I was a kid, there was some cartoon cow. Do you remember?
Oh, Daisy, the milk cow.
Yeah, who had these long
eyelashes.
Yeah. Were they straight or were they curly? They were curly.
Big eyes.
Yeah, Daisy the cow. Okay. Because here it's saying that the eyelashes will be straight, but I always think of a cow's eyelashes as curved. What do you think? Anybody seen a cow's eyelashes up close?
Yes.
Yes? What are they?
Well, they don't curl, but they're...
They're curved.
They're curved.
Curved. Okay, so they're not straight. Okay, that's what I thought. So, okay, so continually viewing sentient beings with love, you know, not for 2 seconds, but for many eons. Okay, and not letting the mind go south under the influence of anger and attachment and confusion. Okay, then we'll have sapphire blue eyes. I guess in India, you know, hardly anybody had blue eyes. So it was, you know, quite a sign of an extraordinary sign, somebody who had blue eyes. Okay, and the whites and black part of the eyes will be very distinct, and the eyes won't be bloodshot. So again, you know, people with attractive eyes like that, you know, we're attracted to them, like, yeah, especially if they'll look you in the eye with love, then of course, you know, wow, this person has some special quality, I want to learn from them. Okay, so it attracts people. And then that was sign 31. Then 32 is, in addition, our eyelashes will be straight and well-defined, like those of a cow. Should I change it to curved and well-defined? I don't know which one the Buddha's eyelashes are. Anyway.
Better Google some pictures of cows.
Yeah, consider
Ask Tom.
take a look.
Ask our neighbor who owns all the cows.
Yeah.
What I remember, the cows had their eyelashes straight, not curved.
Oh, you remember them being straight. Okay.
Only daisies were curled.
Yeah. Daisy talked too, didn't she? Okay. Okay, so the Buddha's 82 signs, 32 signs and 80 marks, okay? They're the ripening result of meditating on emptiness with pure wisdom, unpolluted wisdom for eons. Okay, and so because the Buddha's, these physical signs are unlike anybody else's physical attributes, then their corresponding causes are also very singular and not shared with others. Okay. So this one of, gazing on sentient beings with love. Wouldn't that be nice? Yeah? I mean, to have a mind that just automatically, whenever you looked at somebody, you had a feeling of love come up in your heart, and that feeling of love came out in your expression and how you looked. I think you can see that in some of our teachers. Yeah? I think Pari Rinpoche very much has that quality, doesn't he? Yeah? Geshe Zopa, oh yeah, for sure, Geshe Zopa. And of course His Holiness. Yeah? And so if you meditate on love, later on in the text he talks about the 8 advantages of meditating on love. But, we can also think of our own, we can think of advantages on our own. And just how happy it would make your mind feel. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? So, no matter how people treated you, what they said, from your side, you had equanimity and you had loving kindness. What a relief, So people could swear at you, they could call you names, they could cut you off on the highway, they could, barge in front of you in line, whatever it is, and your mind would react spontaneously with a feeling of, may they have happiness in its causes. Something to aim for, isn't it? Yeah? Because, just think how nice it would feel inside of ourselves, let alone, Did Dale Carnegie talk about that and how to win friends and influence people? It's the best way. Okay. Okay, so the 32 signs indicate that the person who has them is some kind of extraordinary person, and so we should pay attention to them in some way. Because ordinary beings don't have these qualities because they haven't created the cause. They don't have the inner cause that creates these external signs. Okay? And although these signs are likened to, a lion's jaw and a cow's eyelashes and an antelope's calves and what else did we have? Flat feet. Yeah.
Webbed feet at
Your fingers like swans, webbed like swans. What?
The tortoise tummy.
Yeah, the tortoise, the flat tortoise. Your feet were flat like a tortoise's bottom, and soft skin like
Cloth.
is that cloth? I don't know, like a soft kitty. Do you have soft skin? So although we get these kind of analogies, actually the qualities of a Buddha's body far supersede those kind of analogies. Yeah. Okay. So to have, we've been doing a retreat on refuge, so to take refuge, one of the important qualities is to have faith and confidence in the qualities of the three jewels and their ability to guide you. And that faith and confidence comes from thinking about the qualities of the Buddha. And so here we've been thinking about the qualities of the Buddha's body. Yeah. So also if we think of the qualities of the Buddha's speech, we'd think about the 60 special attributes. Qualities of the Buddha's mind. You know, we covered some of those in the Refuge chapter in Buddhism, One Teacher, Many Traditions. Yeah, so when you think about all these qualities, then I think it does a couple of things. One is it gives us faith and confidence in the Buddha's ability to guide us to full awakening. And it inspires us to practice to gain those same qualities, because we see the effect of those qualities on sentient beings, namely ourselves, and you know, how wonderful it would be to have those qualities and to be a good influence in the world. Okay. So the Lam Rim doesn't always go into such detail like this about the qualities of the Buddha, but it's you often find this more in the treatises, but very helpful to learn it and reflect on it. Okay, then 196. Thus you should recognize that these are, in brief, the 32 signs that indicate a great lion-like person. Okay, so I think comparing the Buddha to a lion is like the Buddha's not a wimp. Yeah. Now, of course, not being a wimp, I mean, the Buddha apparently had a very strong, large body, but that is, to me, is not the description of non-wimpiness. Okay, because people can have very big and large bodies and be wimps, okay? But to me, non-wimpiness is a mind that's very strong. Yeah, a mind that can think clearly, that can make wise decisions, that can fulfill its own and other beings' purposes. Okay. And so, you know, the Buddha is lion-like in the sense, you know, the king of the forest. You know, the best of the bipeds is one of his what do you call it? Epithets, yeah. Okay. So you think of the work he had to do fulfilling the two collections to gain those signs. Okay, and then also Khensa Rinpoche, in his commentary, he speaks what you said last week about, previously Nagarjuna talked so much about the qualities, the vile qualities. That's another good word instead of filthy, vile, isn't it? Yeah, the vile qualities of the body of somebody that you're sexually attracted to. And here it's, you know, and another sentient being, some sentient being in the desire realm, what are the causes of their body?
Karma, affliction.
Yeah, afflictions and karma. So, you know, human bodies, there's some good karma in there, but it's still polluted karma. Okay? So then you contrast that with these qualities of the Buddha, the Buddha's body, and the causes of the qualities of the Buddha's body. And then it can really help us to see the difference between an ordinary body and the body of an awakened one. And then to think, what kind of body do I want to have? Yeah, because it's our choice what kind of body we create the causes to have. isn't it? Yeah. Okay, then 197, this verse talks about the 80 marks. So we just had the 32 signs, so now we have the 80 marks. The 80 marks have love as their concordant cause. Okay, so the signs had the two collections, the marks have love. Okay, but concerned that this treatise will be too long, I will not explain them to you. Okay, so do I have a list of the 80 marks? I might have it somewhere. Okay, but it's things like, having fingernails that are the color of copper and, other extraordinary physical signs, okay? So the common cause for all of these is meditation on love. So, meditating on love makes your mind beautiful. So then the ripening result of that is to have a beautiful body. I mean, the state of your mind is expressed in the physical appearance of your body. Okay. So Mark here has the sense of making known. Yeah, so the idea that these signs and marks make it known that this is somebody with an extraordinary mind and with a pure body. Okay, and so of course people who see that, then they're very happy, they're attracted, and then the people can benefit from being, hearing teachings from that person. Whereas if somebody is, let's say somebody who's angry all the time, their face is very unpleasant. Just because when we're angry, our face is unpleasant, it creates the cause to have an appearance that is not very attractive. And then people see you and, they may just feel some hesitation instead of attraction. So it doesn't mean that everybody who is not very attractive has a store of negative karma and that people are beautiful who have a big store of positive karma. Don't draw that conclusion, because that's not true. We're just talking about the causes of that particular life. Yeah, because sometimes people who are quite physically attractive, of course it's the result of their previous good karma, but it creates a lot of obstacles for them. Yeah, if you're very, very attractive, really it creates a lot of obstacles. It's better to not be too beautiful and not be too ugly, but to be somewhere in the middle. Okay? Oh, seriously, because, people who are very attractive, very difficult. Their relationships with other people. I had a friend in college who was so beautiful, and it was so difficult for her because all the guys just wanted to use her. Yeah. I always wondered what happened to her. Okay. Then 198, although all wheel-turning monarchs have these signs and marks, their purity, beauty, and luster cannot compare with the Buddha's. Okay, so even the Chakravarta kings, these are the wheel-turning kings that are kings of the universe, okay, I think they, I won't say it. They're the monarchs of the universe, not the people who think they're the monarchs of the universe, like some people we hear about. Was I tactful? Oh. Unlike the monarch of the universe I'm referring to. Okay. So these wheel-turning monarchs and also solitary realizers have these signs and marks that are similar to the Buddha's. But they have some differences, okay? So there's difference in the purity because the Buddha's signs and marks are a result of a mind that's, that now has neither the afflictive nor the cognitive obscurations, whereas solitary realizers, even the solitary realizer arhats, still have the cognitive obscurations, and the Chakravarta kings, the wheel-turning kings, have both obscurations. So there's a difference in the purity. There's a difference in the beauty, because the Buddha's signs and marks are extremely radiant, extremely beautiful, so that other people, when they see the Buddha, feel really inspired, while the signs and marks of these monarchs and solitary realizers aren't as beautiful and don't invoke the same kind of response from people who see them. And then also the Buddha's signs and marks are very clear, like a full radiant moon, like we've had just a couple of days ago, just so clear, so beautiful. Okay. So, Buddha put in many eons of merit, of work, to create the signs for these, and so it shows in his physical appearance. Yeah. And when you notice, like if you're doing deity yoga, whether you're doing a front generation, and especially when you're doing the self-generation, when you imagine the deity's body, one of these Buddha's bodies, doesn't that make your mind happy? Yeah? I mean, just imagining, visualizing Chenrezig, doesn't that bring some sense of peace in your mind? Because his eyes are so beautiful, the expression on his face is so beautiful, the body's tranquil. Yeah? So just even visualizing these deities affects our mind. Yeah? And especially if you do the self-generation, you get really some experience of it. And so just by seeing that, we can imagine what it's like to be in the presence of a Buddha who has, a very beautiful physical appearance, and what it would be like if we were able to generate a deity's body, or at least have a pleasant expression on our face when we're walking around during the day seeing different people. Instead of the expression of, I'm in a hurry, I'm stressed out, I gotta get there, Like, who are you? Yeah. Yeah. In 199, each of the signs and marks of a wheel-turning monarch are said to come from one cause, clear faith in the King of Sages. So the King of Sages, of course, refers to the Buddha. Now, why do you think it says they come from one cause, after we've just been hearing that, the common causes for the signs are the two collections, and the common cause for the marks is meditating on love, and besides, they all have their own unique cause that we just got done listing. Why do you think it says one cause, clear faith in the King of Sages?
Because if you don't have that, you don't create any of the other ones.
Yep.
You don't practice, you don't integrate.
Yeah, because if you don't have that kind of faith and confidence, then you're not even interested in the Dharma, so you don't practice, you don't get involved in the Dharma in any other way. Okay, so this is linking back, remember, to chapter 1, where he said, what are the two qualities that are so important?
Faith and wisdom.
Faith and wisdom. Yeah, so it's linking back to that. Okay.
The Chakravarta kings are practicing the Dharma.
Do they practice the Dharma? Maybe some of them do. I don't know. I've never met them.
It seems like this verse is
Hmm?
saying that.
You think what?
It seems like this is what this verse is saying.
I don't hear it saying that.
Is it saying the signs
Oh, marks of a wheel-turning monarch.
of wheel turning?
Yeah. Okay. Are said to come from one cause, clear faith. So, oh yeah, I misread the verse too. So if you're a wheel-turning monarch, you know, the causes are much less, but it has to be, you know, the main cause is faith in the Buddha. Okay. Yeah. As he says here, to obtain one of the signs of a wheel-turning king, we must have tremendous faith in the Buddha. Yeah. So if that's the case for one of the signs, then you can imagine what it is for all of the signs. Okay, but even if we created the signs for the causes for the signs and marks of a wheel-turning monarch for billions of years, it wouldn't even come close to the amount of merit that's required for even one pore of the Buddha's body, or one hair of the Buddha's body. Okay? Yeah, so it says that in verse 200. But even were such virtue to be uniquely amassed over 1 billion eons, it would not be sufficient to produce even a single pore of a Buddha. The brilliance of the sun has some slight similarity to a firefly. Yeah. Likewise, the signs and marks of the Buddhas are slightly similar to those of a wheel-turning monarch. Okay, so I think that's kind of self-explanatory, isn't it? Yeah, if you think of the light of the firefly and the light of the sun, you know, and then the cause for the signs of a wheel-turning monarch and the cause for the signs of a Buddha's body.
You wouldn't even notice a firefly when the sun's out.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, so the signs and marks of the Buddha are far superior in terms of their beauty, their purity, their clarity. Yeah. And they can only arise from these certain causes that we just talked about. So this completes the commentary on chapter 2 of the Precious Garland, an interwoven explanation of the causes and effects of higher rebirth and the highest good. So, questions? Comments? Yeah.
I have a bit of hesitation. At one point you said, to look out for those signs and to respect the qualities that are behind that, because there are so many teachers, as you said, or other people who don't have those signs, but they can still have qualities. I think of some of your teachers I've seen. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
have, of course,
Yeah, yeah. That's why you never judge people on their physical appearance.
Yeah.
It's just saying that if you have a pleasant one, it draws people to you.
Yeah, so it's a plus.
Yeah, you need to have some internal qualities.
Yeah.
Otherwise, just thinking I want to have a beautiful body and creating virtue for that, it'll ripen in a beautiful body, but your mind is a mess, so you're just going to use your life to create negative karma. Okay.
Sometimes I think it can also create distraction, depends on the time, because sometimes I think like some teachers have not a pleasant appearance, but there's so much a good practitioner, and that goes so deep versus maybe some who have great appearance and have great followers, and maybe that the deepness is not there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, completely. Yeah. Yeah, all this talk about the Buddha's body was not saying judge a teacher by their physical appearance. Because you're absolutely right. There can be people who look great on the outside and have a dearth of internal qualities, and people who look very humble on the outside, but are very rich in qualities. So that's why it's always important to look at somebody's qualities, not to look at the titles they have, not to look at how high their seat is, not to think of, how good looking and charismatic they are and whether they tell funny jokes or not. Those are not things that are listed as qualities of a qualified teacher. But, people who don't have much merit and much wisdom, that's what they're attracted to. Yeah, so when you don't have much merit and much wisdom, you wind up with a teacher like that. Yeah? So it's important to create merit, have wisdom, and make very strong prayers to, always meet with really qualified teachers. Yeah, because if you meet with charlatananda, everything you do after that is charlatanese, Yeah. Yeah.
So I was having a lot of trouble being inspired about the physical qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I was reviewing my notes, I just went through and I listed the things we're being told to do to get the trait.
Right.
Those I'm trying to be more focused on. So I really like the way you started by talking about how much effort the Buddha put into getting those.
Yeah.
Because then it even had another look at that. Because I was thinking, these are what he's telling us to do.
Right.
And then you're saying that the appreciation of the Buddha has done these.
Right. So that's interesting that what spoke to you from last week was not so much the signs, but the causes of the signs. Yeah, because that's an instruction to us on what to practice. And we can see how if we create those causes, how transformative it is for our mind. And if, by the way, you come out with a body that can attract disciples so you can teach them, that's good. Yeah, but the especially important thing is to have a mind that can attract disciples so you can teach them. This does not mean, by the way, that when you become Buddha, you have, or when you become a teacher, you have to have gazillions of disciples, and that your proximity to enlightenment is reflected by how many disciples you have. Okay? So don't get that kind of idea in your mind, because that's not the case at all. Because you really see, of course, some teachers who are excellent teachers with a lot of disciples and some with just a few disciples. And I think different people have different personalities, and that bodhisattvas kind of manifest in different ways in our world. Because if every teacher we met had gazillions of disciples, we would never have the opportunity to have a private conversation with one of our teachers. Yeah? So it's nice that there's teachers who don't have that many disciples, because then you can actually have a conversation with them. Yeah? And they may even know your name. Yeah? Whereas, with His Holiness, he has, tens and thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of disciples, millions of disciples. He doesn't know the names of all of them. He can't guide them all individually. Yeah, so it's nice that there's some teachers that only have a few, and we can have that personal contact. Yeah, because I know in my own experience, some of my teachers are like that have many disciples, some have a few. And so the way I related to them was different because of that situation. Yeah, and so some of my teachers who had just a few disciples, I'm thinking of Geshe Sonam Rinchen here. I could have a lot of contact with him over the years, and he gave excellent advice, really excellent advice. Yeah, and that was, I only had access to that because he didn't have, 10,000 disciples. So. Mm-hmm.
If in the Pali tradition, when they do the recollection of the Buddha, do they contemplate these signs?
The Nepali.
Or
Oh, the Pali tradition. I was hearing Nepali. And the Pali, yeah, when they do the recollection of the Buddha. Yeah, they would think about the 32 signs and the 80 marks, because they, those come in the Pali canon. Else, yeah.
How do you like take the context of, this is describing a male Buddha,
Ah,
and then you have also female Buddhas like Tara,
yeah.
and how do you reconcile this?
I don't know, I just changed this is the model of kind of a good-looking male, I guess, I don't know, But, I mean, just whatever is attracted to you. I mean, maybe explain the question a little bit more. I mean, what do you...
There's an assumption that a Buddha must be male.
Yeah, well, yes. Okay, there is an assumption that the Buddha must be male. In...
Why is there that assumption?
Oh, no, I'm saying there is, because in the Pali canon, in the early canon, there is, it talks about the situations for the 1,000 Buddhas of the fortunate eon, and one of the factors in that is that they're male. Yeah, so the 1,000 wheel-turning Buddhas of the fortunate eon, kind of, they have to have certain qualities. So one of them that they're male. Now, that's from the viewpoint of the Pali tradition. Yeah, but from the viewpoint of the Mahayana tradition, there's many, many Buddhas. Yeah, because with the Pali tradition, there's only, in this eon, there's only those 1,000, that's it. Everybody else becomes an arhat. But also they don't see a lot of difference between an arhat and a Buddha, except a wheel-turning Buddha teaches, in an age when the Dharma isn't there. In the Mahayana, there isn't that kind of thing, everybody can become Buddhas, and the Buddha can manifest in whatever kind of body is needed by sentient beings. Okay?
So there isn't, like, in the Mahayana, there isn't that requirement that, like, let's say, your bodhisattva's in the 10th ground, before you become a Buddha, you must be male.
In the Sutrayana, it is that at the very end, you have to have a male body. But in the Tantrayana, no, that's not the case at all. Yeah. Anyway, once you're a Buddha, who cares? Yeah? It's just like, let's become a Buddha as fast as we can and benefit sentient beings. And yeah, I think that's the main thing. And like I said, in Tantrayana, there's not that thing that at the end you have to have a male body.
Yeah, because when I hear those teaching, when they teach, like, at the end you have...
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, but then you also have the story in what is it, the Srimala Devi, Well, no, also in Vimalakirti. I think Srimala Devi, there was an 8-year-old young girl who surprised all the arhats with how she was a bodhisattva and how wise she was. But in Vimalakirti, what is it? Vimalakirti turns Shariputra, now what is it, into a woman. Yeah. And yeah, and to kind of show, look, really it doesn't matter what kind of body you have. What matters is what's going on in your mind. Okay, but we have to remember that Buddhism grew up in a very patriarchal culture. And most cultures right now are patriarchal. And, it'd be nice to change all these things, but it's going to take a while of really working on people's minds to change this kind of bias. And in any case, what the original scriptures said, in our certain period in the universe, under this flash of lightning time in which we live, where Shakyamuni Buddha's teachings are alive, there's that assumption that, there's the favoritism towards the male. In my mind, it's like, that's cultural, so what? So what? I think it's much more important what your internal qualities are. And I think that His Holiness always says, well, that's because, early on, when we were coming out of the Neanderthal age, the thing that was really important for people was physical strength. And that's how a society was ordered according to the physical strength of somebody. But now in, times when we're supposedly more modern, then physical strength doesn't play a role in that kind of hierarchy. And I was thinking about it in the sense, this sounds awful, I know, but the fact that in America women can have guns, it's completely equalized that whole thing in many ways. Yeah. Because it's given small, tiny women a lot of power over somebody who's big, who, might do them harm. See, I said it sounded awful, but it's true. It's true. It equalizes that. But His Holiness says, now we really need much more kindness and compassion, which are usually qualities attributed to women. But I was talking with one of the people in His Holiness' office about this, and he was saying that, when His Holiness talks about that, that we really need women to be in more leadership positions because their qualities of kindness and compassion are much more needed in the world. Some people don't like him saying that because they feel that we should have gender neutrality, and we shouldn't categorize certain qualities as male and certain qualities as female. Yeah? Huh? Yeah, you're one of them. Yeah, I kind of have a reaction too when he says that, So it's interesting, how can you say something that's going to please everybody? Yeah, because some people, when they hear that, say, oh, finally, our qualities are getting recognized as women. And then other women say, oh, I don't like that because I want everything to be, gender equal and gender neutral. Yeah, so that's why I think, better to check our own mind and not get too involved in that kind of thing. Yeah, because it just when we're stuck in that, then we're angry inside. We're angry and we're discontent, and we can be very unpleasant to be with. Mm? Because we see everything through that filter. Yeah. That makes some sense?
Yeah, it's just that, when the teacher is male and they are teaching from that perspective, there is blindness, to them, it's irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They don't realize the effect they have on the women that's listening to that. The sutra says this, so.
Yes, it's very true. Whenever you're in whatever the dominant group is, you are unaware of the privilege and prejudice, the privilege you have and the prejudice against the minority group. Whatever group it is, you're totally spaced out when you're in the majority or the dominant group. Okay, that happens with male teachers. They don't realize how some of what they're saying sounds to women, the women in the audience. Once they've been teaching in the West for a while, they become aware of how it sounds because the women tell them. The women in Asia don't speak up. They just accept it. The women in the West, I mean, I remember even from the very early days, you know, like just start teaching chapter 8 of Shantideva, and the woman's body is foul, everybody's hands went up, you know. It was like, how can you say that? The men's bodies are just as, you know, as filthy. And, you know, and the teachers were kind of, you know, they never even thought about it because they've always been only with men. Since they were little boys, they were in a monastery with only men. And so there's also an assumption in those kind of passages that everybody's straight. Yeah, which everybody's not straight, including in the monastery. Except according to what they say, there's everybody's straight and there's no sex. So, you know, I don't know. Yeah, so I think it's good that we have to speak up, yeah, but to speak up with a mind that's not angry and resentful, but to speak up with a mind that cares about the Dharma and that knows that people will be turned away from the Dharma. Even men will be turned away from the Dharma if there's, you know, very obvious prejudice against women, you know, and to speak up about that. And some teachers can hear it and some teachers can't hear it.
I like what you said about the thing about the person in the minority group, because we also are in the majority group in some aspects of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, you know, it happens in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
You know, when we travel in our world, where we're in the group that's the majority, we don't see what's happening with the people around us.
Yeah.
We're insensitive.
Totally. Yeah.
Depending on what the scenario is.
Yeah. And this is part of the difficulty with race relationships in the country, is that white people don't even, you know, what they consider prejudice, they don't even see it. You know, it's like not there because they're in the majority group. And so they don't see the things that come across as prejudicial to people in minorities. Yeah. So.
I have to say, as the years have gone on, when I think of the Buddha, I rarely, ever think of him as a man.
Yeah.
Because his qualities are so all-encompassing. And when I think about Tara, I don't think of her as, I mean, take away the retracted sex organs and the breasts, you kind of got a Buddha.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, the Buddhas are really androgynous.
They're androgynous. I look at them, I kind
Yeah.
of go, that looks like could be a male or female. The
Yeah.
qualities are both feminine and, quote, masculine.
Yeah.
So I don't see him as
Very
a guy.
much. Yeah.
Just don't.
I don't see the Buddha as a male either, you know, so much, you know, in that way. Like,
We so much tend to see ourselves as wherever we are in this body, in this life, and they're like, that's a flash in a continuum.
yeah.
Whether gender or race or even being human.
Yep. It's going to change.
And bodhisattvas take rebirth in whatever form is best going to serve their needs.
Exactly.
The needs of the sentient beings, whether it's
Right.
male or female, or a dog or a cat.
Right. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think- once you become a bodhisattva at a certain point, it doesn't matter to them one way or the other, just whatever what needs to be done.
Exactly.
It's just us idiots.
Yeah. No, it's true. And that's why they have to take so many forms, because we judge the package instead of what's inside the package, you know? I remember talking about this many years ago with one friend, and she said, I can see being a woman as a good, you know, quality if you're choosing a gynecologist, but, you know, if you're not choosing a gynecologist, it really doesn't matter if the person is male or female, does it? Anyway, some gynecologists are male, but you know. So.
It's so funny how sex and gender always have to be these issues for us.
I know, they get...
Sexual misconduct, and sex is just part of our
Yeah, we get so...
confused.
Yeah, wigged out about it. Yeah?
Just going back, I found it very encouraging when His Holiness Everton in Frankfurt saying this about the woman's qualities, and most of the participants have been women, and you know, coming back from this kind of patriarchal society, I think I was with a group of women there, and we all found that very helpful because we felt subdued in our, you know, in one of our qualities. That's not that male will not have that. It's just accepting, just recognizing, hey, you can come out, you can be like you are.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to hide under what is there given right now at that moment.
Yeah.
That was just that.
Yeah. 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 So it kind of gives you permission to be who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, a lot of these things I see as I teach them, people respond in so many different ways, you know. And we'll come to this summer when we do the meditation on the medicine Buddha. So you're going to have to hear this story twice. But some of you may have been at the retreat at Cloud Mountain when we did a retreat on the medicine Buddha. Yeah, and I was going over the medicine Buddha vows, his vows, you know, and one of them is anybody who wants to be reborn as a male, being reborn as a male. And people had so many different reactions to that. You know, one person was like, oh, that's so, you know, prejudice, you know, because it's saying males are supreme and women are inferior, and again, it's the same old prejudice and inferiority thing put on women, and that person was really angry about it. And another person who was there said, you know, because we were talking about why the Buddha said that. And I said, you know, and sometimes in society, women have certain disadvantages that men don't, and also, you know, in terms of pregnancy and taking care of a baby and having a baby, you know, it's a stress on your body that men don't have, and so on. So I was explaining that. So then one person, you know, got mad. Then the other person said, oh, I think Medicine Buddha is so compassionate. He really understands what women go through when they get pregnant and they have a baby and they have to wake up in the middle of the night with the baby, and, you know, he's so compassionate.
They have to worry about their safety.
Huh?
And they have to worry about their safety.
Yeah, I have to worry about the safety of the kids and this and that. Here it was in the same room, two people. Were any of you there at that time? Yeah?
I recall.
Yeah.
I with the medicine Buddha, I remember.
Yeah, and just two people having such different reaction, both women. Yeah. So.
That's why they emanate all these different bodies and teach in all these different ways.
Yeah, right, right.
Also another illustration that it's not the medicine Buddha.
Yeah.
It's our minds.
It's our minds. Yeah.
Last week we were talking about whether these signs could be seen by people,
Mm-hmm.
ordinary beings. And I don't remember which sutra it is, but there's a sutra where somebody is following the Buddha and he can see the
Yes.
wheel marks in the footprints. And it says that the Buddha let those be seen because other people weren't seeing. He wasn't leaving footprints normally. And he purposely did that so that the person could see that.
Yeah.
So there's some control there about who can see it from the Buddhist side also.
Yeah, maybe from the Buddhist side. Mm.